Headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, protecting Micronesia for 85 years. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Apply at matson.com. New Jeep Gladiators up to $7,000 off now at Cars Plus. Named the best vehicle for adventure in 2024. Get your Jeep Gladiator today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime. Tropical storm Manny spared Guam and the CNMI, now well on its way into the Philippine Sea. Plus, many not taking chances using the emergency shelters in place to wait out the storm. And the storm brought some rough seas to the coast, but that didn't keep surfers out of the water. Hafa and good evening. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We hope you're all doing well out there as Tropical Storm Manny heads out of our region. Well, Guam and the CNMI are spared. Tropical Storm Manny tracked south of Guam early today.
All watches and all warnings were canceled by midday. All operations locally resumed around the same time. The Guam National Weather Service announcing early this afternoon that we are in the clear. Tropical Storm Manny is out of the Marianas region. Acting Governor Josh Tenorio sending out this message moments before placing the island back to normal.
We have been very fortunate and our island seems to have been spared by any destruction from Tropical Storm Manny. The storm is leaving the area, and without any further complications, Guam will be placed in condition of readiness for normalizing all operations. Government of Guam will reopen at 1 p.m. I encourage all the people of Guam to work together.
Tenorio had signed an emergency declaration ahead of Manny's approach. Guam National Weather Service meteorologist Brandon Islet shared that Guam is in the clear as Manny continues pushing away from the Marianas.
We got quite a few updates to talk about. We saw Tropical Storm Manny was moving very quickly overnight. It did eventually pass just south of Guam. So initially it was due east of Tinian yesterday evening, and we were late after sunset. We were seeing a little bit of a left turn as it was starting to turn to the west-southwest. It continued that turn, setting aim on Rota, and then Guam. Eventually passed just south of Guam. This morning between 4 and 6 a.m., we saw, based on the radar, it was about 40 miles south-southeast of Guam's radar, central Guam. So that's only about 25 miles south of Moleso, so not too far away. As of 11 o'clock this morning, we have just dropped all tropical storm warnings. So no more warnings for tropical storm conditions are in effect for any of the Marianas. And we are looking for some key satellite data that came through perfectly soon after 10 o'clock this morning. Now, what's happening as we go through the day? Those sustained winds, they are falling down. We're seeing 15 to 25 mile per hour winds. We were getting some peak wind remarks in the local observations across Saipan and Guam. We're seeing wind gusts approaching 50 miles per hour, including up on Wireless Ridge, Saipan. We saw a 51 mile per hour gust. We're looking at we're going to be looking at the data some more today just to see what other observations have been coming in. But here at the airport, we're still gusting to around 40, 42 miles per hour as showers push through. So that's going to be the concern as you consider kind of putting things back outside. We're still going to see those strong gusts. Flood-wise, we did cancel the flood watch this morning. So we're looking at the possibility of flooding conditions, but those heavy showers with the storm center passing south of Guam, those heavy showers passed a little bit farther south. So that removed that threat. So this morning we did drop that flood watch. We're going to see some more showers pushing through, but we're not expecting any type of flood impacts. So as we head into the afternoon hours and the evening, the conditions will steadily be improving.
Manny forced multiple airlines to delay or cancel flights for the day. Ultimately, the Marianas is now in the clear. An experience that many of us brings up memories of Mawar, no doubt. How was your night, Tess?
My night was actually pretty loud in Manila. I feel like my shutters were clicking all night, so I woke up around maybe 4 a.m. this morning and was disrupted a little bit from the wind and the sound of it. How about you? Did you have a good sleep?
So. I think I kind of stayed up a lot just to make sure that everyone got the information that they
Yeah.
could, the latest updates, because they continued to come through the night. But it's that
they did.
howling noise that we did
Yes.
hear throughout the night. Fortunately, not a lot of rainfall, and so that's
Yes.
the plus, right?
That is the plus. That is the plus.
Well, over in Manila, nearly 90 people at just one of the shelters of the 3 across the island went to those designated public school campuses.
That's right. And it was said to be a smooth experience for those shelterees as they waited out the storm together.
89. That's how many people in need of a safe place to wait out the storm showed up to the emergency shelters overnight. Majority of them staying at the shelter in the north, Maria Ujoa Elementary, as Manny was initially predicted to impact the northern villages. By sunrise Wednesday, the skies were still gloomy over the central shelter location. The halls are empty as school was out for condition of readiness 1. Only 6 shelterees showed up to GW High, the Manila campus barely affected by the high winds caused by Man-yi. This tree snapped in the middle of the courtyard, and other branches were on the ground at the school entrance. Further south, only 2 shelterees showed up to the designated site at Talafofo Elementary School. Michael Meno was the shift supervisor at the southern location.
So shift 2 is pretty easy transition. We took over in I believe about 2 o'clock in the morning. So the shelterees are already settled in, registered, and just waiting to ride out the storm.
The shelters reporting 0 issues.
I think we did really well. We weren't expecting it to move this fast, but overall it went well.
Meno adding the quick response to getting the shelters open was a plus.
You could hear the wind, yeah, but I guess because the precautions were taken, things were smooth.
Those in the shelter were asked to follow certain rules as they would be in a shared space with others. They also had to bring a 7-day supply of food and water, bedding, personal hygiene products, medication, and important documents including identification and medical records. Despite the numbers being low in the south, Meno says it was about helping every single person in need.
Well, we just wanted to make sure that the ones who needed to take shelter have a good place to be at and they could stay safe.
A safe space available whenever Mother Nature sends the unexpected our way.
And the shift to the south still brought signs of a storm in our region.
Yeah, some even taking advantage of the waves along our coast. Mitsuki Hirayama continues our team coverage.
The south took on a majority of the brunt from Tropical Storm Man-yi. The high winds leaving Pago Bay looking like this Wednesday morning. The island still in condition of readiness 1 at the time this video was captured. The rough seas were what weather officials cautioned the community about, especially boaters. Multiple traffic lights were blinking and the high winds continued here in Zonya and at Ipan Beach Park. This tree toppled over near the shore. The park is empty. The waves rushing in at First Beach. This popular go-to spot for locals and visitors, visibly hazardous for anyone looking to go into the water. The waves stacking on top of one another, a similar situation at Talafofo Bay, a go-to spot for surfers. Michelle Pierre and Jessica Janizak were among the handful of experienced people who showed up early Wednesday.
To come check the bay. The waves.
Tropical storm Man-yi for these two was, well, they explain it best.
What storm? Just kidding. No, there was a little wind around like 4 a.m. and this now, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It's not bad at all. And it brings the waves.
Weather officials announced a high surf advisory in effect until 6 a.m. Thursday, along with a high risk of rip currents through late Wednesday evening. These women not taking those advisories lightly, cautioning others who may be inexperienced.
I mean, we usually get the storms from the east side here, so the waves show up here first, and then after it passes, it'll show up on the west side. But yeah, we usually come down and check it out. But definitely wouldn't recommend it to anyone who's not experienced, because the current's extremely strong here and you can get sucked out. It can be very dangerous for someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
The storm churned up the waves along the coast for most of the early morning. There were some branches and trees that snapped and leaves on the road, but village mayor staff were already out responding to clean it up. By the time our crew got out to Molesto and Humatak, the sun was out and it was a clear sign that Manny was well on its way towards the Philippine Sea. Mitsuki Hirayama, KUAM News.
What a sight to see across the coast there, especially down south, those waves battering the island.
Yep, and aside from that, just a shout out to Inalahan on our new Chief Gata statue. It withstood the storm.
Looks pretty incredible. Well, meanwhile, Rhoda was also spared from Tropical Storm Manny. Out of an abundance of caution, schools and government offices were closed today.
Tomas Mingwatnia reports.
So we had our safety briefing this morning at 9 a.m. and it was so great to hear and report that there was no damage to our island, no harm to our people, which is always great news. We did have some phone calls that were made to our shelter inquiring information, but we did not have any clients that checked in or any of our residents that sought shelter at the aging's office.
Rhoda Mayor Aubrey Halcock shared that good news Wednesday morning. However, the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation did announce that some villages had an emergency power service interruption from 12:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday to allow linemen to replace 2 damaged insulator pins on a primary power pole in the area. But the mayor says the island was more prepared, especially after previous storms.
Well, once we got the notice or the weather report, we were able to respond quickly, and I decided to have our shelter open just in case anybody sought shelter. You know, many things happen over time, and we don't know the living conditions of our residents. Just to make sure that we offer a safe avenue for our people, which is what prompted me to open the shelter. But we're very, very blessed and thankful that this tropical storm did not expand or escalate.
Tomas Mangwan.
Welcome back to Primetime. A woman convicted in the death of her 1-year-old son will have to wait to learn her fate. Gilton in Ramangmu was set to be sentenced before Superior Court Judge Vernon Perez this week. Defense telling the court Ramangmu would be testifying ahead of sentencing, but the hearing was delayed 3 weeks after the courts were forced to close operations in preparation of Tropical Storm Manny. She is now scheduled to appear back in court on December 3rd. Ramangmu faces 10 years in prison.
As we reported, a jury found Ramangmu guilty of negligent homicide and child abuse. The murder case unfolded last November at Ramangmu's home in Dedido. Authorities arrived to find the young boy lifeless. Ramangmu told 911 operators that her son had bumped his head and fallen out of the crib. However, prosecutors pointed out during the trial that Ramangmu later admitted to police she had been changing bed sheets and forgot the baby was on the bed, resulting in the child hitting the wall and falling to the ground. A man convicted of sexually abusing a young girl known to him over several years faces multiple life sentences. A Superior Court jury found Tyson Usana guilty of 11 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, 8 counts of second-degree CSC, and fourth-degree CSC. The case unfolded in 2019 after the victim got older and found the courage to speak out. She was only 8 when Usana began molesting her.
You may recall Usana was only convicted of a misdemeanor during his trial last year, the case ending in a mistrial for the other charges. The AG says his office, quote, refused to let this pedophile walk as a free man and demanded another trial for the remaining charges. The victim, now 22, testified about the abuse. Following this latest conviction, prosecutors say they are seeking the max 11 life sentences, stating they want to make sure he is never released to victimize another child. Former independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced that a Trump administration would launch an aggressive restructuring of public health agencies on its very first day.
Kennedy stated that Trump's team is prepared to either fire or radically relocate government health officials they view as unfit for their roles. One of Kennedy's most provocative assertions centered around what to do with officials whom Trump's team might struggle to remove from their posts.
We're gonna fire on day one, or if you can't fire them, we can ship them to a new HHS headquarters in Guam. every nutritional scientist at FDA, because all of them are corrupt. And all of them are complicit in the poisoning of our children.
Supporters praised the statement, interpreting it as evidence of a no-nonsense approach to bureaucratic reform. But Acting Governor Josh Tenorio disagreed with RFK's disparaging comments.
Well, obviously, anytime that Guam is the brunt of jokes is offensive to all of us. I think the point he's trying to make is he's trying to put in his mind the folks that he's opposed to in HHS to the furthest end of the country from where he will be. That's how I would just take it. But, you know, science is very important. We cherish the relationship that we built with U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I think that we'll just wait and see what the priorities are of the administration.
Tenorio adding Guam has great healthcare professionals and they hope to find common points with the incoming Trump administration.
The Guam Visitors Bureau and their Japan office are investigating the source of a potential food poisoning. It impacted 34 passengers on board 2 flights from Guam to Japan last Thursday. Multiple Japan media reports state the flights were carrying a group of high school students from Guam to Japan when they fell ill with symptoms of suspected food poisoning. The Narita Airport and authorities from Chiba Prefecture say 16 were on Japan Airlines Flight 942 and 18 were on United Airlines Flight 873, which both landed at Narita Airport.
Some passengers reported feeling sick before boarding the flight. Japan Airlines telling airport officials it did not believe in-flight meals to be the cause. We also reached out to catering company LSG Guam for comment. Adaloop adding Guam public health officials will eventually investigate, calling it a, quote, serious matter. It may be time to invest in some new cooking utensils after a recent study found some common kitchen tools may be leaking dangerous flame retardant chemicals into your food.
PJ Ronhawa reports.
They might be a holdover from your college days, or maybe they're a brand new addition to your kitchen. Either way, a new study warns you may want to rethink your use of black plastic cooking utensils and food containers.
What we found in our study was that flame retardants were popping up in black plastic household items like kitchen utensils, food serviceware items like sushi trays, and toys.
Megan Liu with Toxic Free Future and co-author of a recent study published in Chemisphere magazine explains fire retardants are intentionally added into electronic enclosures like the plastic casings around TVs or monitors as a way to prevent fires. But when those items are recycled into other consumer goods like black plastic utensils or storage containers, those fire retardants remain in high concentrations.
And so we also know that flame retardants are able to leach out of kitchen utensils and into food.
Multiple studies have established the chemical compounds in flame retardants can cause thyroid disease, certain cancers, endocrine disruption, and even death. One 2020 study in the Lancet Medical Journal even linked exposure to flame retardants as the greatest contributor to intellectual disabilities in children.
We actually recently had found some of these same flame retardants in breast milk for the first time.
After learning all of this, we turned to Dr. John Anderson, Associate Chair of the Chemistry Department at the University of Chicago, to look at one of my own black plastic kitchen utensils.
Yeah, that ladle is from my kitchen.
We just have a chunk of it. We can put it on and basically just reflect right off the surface and see if we see anything.
Dr. Anderson is using X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to look for the presence of fire retardant chemicals in my old kitchen ladle.
And what we can see is we look specifically for bromine and antimony, and we see some signals at the spots for bromine and antimony.
And with that, Dr. Anderson confirms what Liu's study found. It's time for that kitchen ladle to get trashed.
Those are not good for you. Now, again, how much is leaching out, it's hard to say, right? But I think that that's, I mean, for instance, that's one reason why a lot of people aren't using Teflon cookware anymore, right? For the same reason, stuff leaching out as you cook.
Out of the 203 products tested by Toxic Free Future, fire retardants were found in 85% of them. In the U.S., only a handful of fire retardants are officially banned. But Liu says one of those long-banned compounds associated with a high risk of cancer was still found in a majority of the samples tested.
I think what the study really shows is that it highlights how much of a lack of restrictions we have in the United States. And so as a result, manufacturers and retailers are still able to use these harmful flame retardants in the products that they produce.
In a statement, the American Chemistry Council responded to the study by saying, in part, manufacturers conduct rigorous research and risk assessment to ensure that fire retardants do not pose significant health risks to consumers. Now, there are a few ways you can limit your exposure to these dangerous chemicals. First, throw out your black plastic kitchen utensils and storage containers. Try stainless steel or wood options instead. Also, limit your children's exposure to toys with black plastic pieces, like the wheels on toy cars or black beads. Lastly, a great way to reduce your exposure is to vacuum, mop, and dust your home regularly, because flame retardants can accumulate in dust.
Wow, a lot to think about in that story.
Truly. I need to throw away all my ladles now.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, in other news, Thanksgiving, or Turkey Day as some call it, is just around the corner.
I prefer Gobble Gobble Day. Maddie McQueen gets us ready for the major feast to be served at the Thanksgiving table.
It may be a little more cost effective to try to go out to eat for just a couple of people versus trying to prepare a big meal.
Bud Smith says this is the first year he's considered not doing the traditional meal for Thanksgiving.
I usually put together a big meal and have several people over. And like I said, I just thought about it this year and I said, I don't know if I want to go to the expense of all that because, you know, grocery prices can be high.
The Thanksgiving meal staples can add up, from the sides like cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, and stuffing, to the turkey and ham, to the classic desserts like pecan pie and pumpkin pie.
We're going to scale back a little bit.
Another top seller around Thanksgiving, wine.
Thanksgiving Eve is the #1 wine sales day of the year.
Scott Atkinson is a wine manager at the Piggly Wiggly. He says while inflation has hit everything, they do their best to keep prices low and locked in.
We've got a lot of local negotiation that we can do that helps our prices stay pretty competitive. We like to figure out what their budget is and meet them at their budget, because it doesn't matter what I think is best, it's what the customer wants. And if the customer's budget is $15, we're going to get the best bottle we can find for $15.
While a few people are getting out to shop for the holiday early, Atkinson says the week of Thanksgiving will still be when the crowds roll through.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that 4-day window is our busiest 4 days of the year. It would be double a good week in the spring or even the fall.
Oh, what's your favorite dish on the Thanksgiving table?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think either stuffing or turkey, but you know, Chamorro families, we also have to bring chicken Calaguin, so
Yeah.
that's my one.
Finageni on everything, please.
There we go.
Now for a look at your world at home.
Here's a view captured of Pleasure Island in Tumon.
Need a place that has everything you're looking for without the extra stops? Kmart is the ultimate destination for saving time and money with unbeatable deals, all in one place. From groceries to personal and home essentials to the latest trends, everything you need is right here. For yourself, your family, your home. Find it all at Kmart, your destination for deals, where convenience, variety, and value come together. Make Kmart your one-stop shop today. Follow us on our social media and check out our website for weekly deals. Kmart, your destination for deals.
Looking for the best value for your family's connectivity? Save big with GTA's Choice Bundles. Get fast internet, unlimited wireless, entertaining digital TV, and reliable home phone, all in one convenient package. The more services you choose, the more you save. Over $1,000 per year. GTA is the smart choice. For a limited time, bundle internet and wireless and get 3 months of free internet plus a $300 Visa gift card on us. Bundle and save with GTA Choice Bundles.
Classic New York style pizza offers a big, bold taste that's a Guam favorite. It's handmade with 16 inches of foldable crust, a sweet marinara sauce, and your favorite topping. And at 30% larger than our large, Classic New York pizza is only $12.99 for carryout. Bring together your family and friends for a classic New York pizza party. Each pizza is just $12.99 for carryout. Classic New York style pizza, so close you can taste it. Only at your Island Pizza Hut.
There's going to be a holiday bazaar happening at the AK showroom. This happens on December 7th. Make sure to check it out because it's sponsored by our friends over at the Lupus community of Guam. If you're interested, make sure to get being a vendor. Make sure it's only $35. You can sell your wares. It's a bazaar. You're going to make everybody happy. Wonderful venue, wonderful cause, wonderful group. The University of the Philippines Alumni Guam will be holding their 4th annual Pinoy Trivia event. This is happening on November 16th, starting at 1 in the afternoon at St. Paul's in the gym. Win raffle prizes and more for a good cause. And the Cultural Maritime Training Center is offering basic traditional seamanship training up in the CNMI, so make sure to participate in that. Classes every Tuesday and Saturday beginning on the 23rd. All right, get involved, have fun.
KUAM Communications, Burger King, and Trust J. Goodman want to send one of our talented performing arts groups to a special November 22nd screening of Wicked at the Micronesia Mall Theaters. Now, if you've got a passion for the performing arts, visit KUAM.com or our social media platforms to see how to win and be showcased during Defying Gravity, The Curtain Rises on Wicked, a behind-the-scenes special on KUAM TV8 and Peacock November 20th.
I hope you're happy now. I hope you're happy
too.
As the beloved Broadway musical prepares to hit the big screen, NBC invites you to an exclusive Wicked special. Go behind the scenes with interviews from the original cast, sneak peeks of the upcoming movie, and unforgettable performances of iconic songs, like the one we just sang.
Yeah.
We're celebrating the arts and the wonder of Wicked with a sneak peek on KUAM TV8 and a special screening at the Micro Mall Theaters. Defy Gravity with us. Time now for birthday wishes.
Here's your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shout-out submitted on KUAM.com.
Happy birthday number 5 to Braun. Your family and friends say we love you so much. And we hope you have a great 5th birthday. That's an awesome age. Tisha Maria Espanol Smith, happy birthday number 19. And blessings, baby girl. We love you and miss you plenty, says your Guam familia. And happy birthday to Jessica Guerrero Chargloff. Happy birthday to you. Many blessings and love. Very, very important, and love from your family.
Happy birthday to all of you celebrating out there today. That's your primetime show. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Delgado.
And I'm Destiny Cruz. Have a great evening and stay beautiful.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort Guam.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Hub. I'm Nick Delgado. President-elect Donald Trump has spent the week preparing for his transition back to the White House. The 45th president is poised to become the 47th, pulling off what may be the biggest comeback in modern American politics. Trump even calling it himself the greatest political movement of all time. President Biden called Trump to a White House meeting to, quote, ensure a smooth transition. The market's reacting in a big way to the election, all the major benchmarks hitting record highs after exit polls showed voters have been very unhappy with the state of the economy. We get more on that from Christine Romans.
Well, I want to thank you all very much.
With Donald Trump's return to power, Wall Street likes what it sees.
This will truly be the golden age of America.
Markets hitting record highs on the promise of a Trump 2.0 economic agenda expected to include more deregulation and lower taxes.
We are going to do the best job. We're going to We're going to turn it around. It's got to be turned around. It's got to be turned around fast, and we're going to turn it around.
Exit polls show voters sour on the current economy, 68% calling it not so good or poor, and 46% of voters say their family's financial situation is worse today compared to 4 years ago, the highest that number has ever been on the NBC News exit poll.
Monster gain today.
That's despite a series of stock market highs reached under the Biden administration, wage growth that has outpaced inflation for 20 months, and a historically low unemployment rate. But 22% of voters say inflation has caused a severe hardship for their families in the last year. Another 53% said a moderate hardship. Grocery prices are up 22% over the past 4 years, and rents are up an average 23%.
You know, all that stuff just going through the roof. You know, people tend to pay attention when there's less money in their bank account.
Many of Trump's economic proposals would require congressional action. He has vowed to deport millions of immigrants, a potential blow to farming and construction. He'd cut corporate taxes further and eliminate taxes on tips and Social Security. And he's promised 10% tariffs on most U.S. imports, 60% on goods from China.
To me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff, and it's my favorite word. It needs a public relations firm.
Economists worry that Trump's tariff threats, along with tax cuts and other spending promises, would reignite inflation, which has been falling for 2 years, and swell the deficit.
Trump's victory coming after 2 assassination attempts and multiple criminal charges against him, to which he has pled not guilty. Also, a felony conviction in New York. Vice President Harris gave an emotional concession speech. Harris telling supporters a fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. Trump will return to the White House in 2025 after a decisive win against Harris. Bree Jackson has more.
Vice President Kamala Harris delivering a heartfelt concession speech from her alma mater, Howard University.
My heart is full today, full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve.
Speaking in front of hundreds of supporters, Harris acknowledging her election loss while vowing to continue the fight for reproductive rights and other issues that drove her campaign.
I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people.
The vice president calling President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his win and pledging a peaceful transfer of power. Mr. Trump taking a victory lap even before his opponent conceded.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
The day capping off an election cycle filled with twists and turns, including President Biden ending his re-election bid less than 4 months before Election Day. The president praising Harris for stepping up to lead an historic campaign and congratulating President-elect Trump for his 2024 election win. And President Biden will address the nation from the Rose Garden on Thursday. It will be his first on-camera remarks since the election results came in. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Keep it here. You're watching a special report tracking the first week of President-elect Trump. This is The Hub.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort, Guam.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
Taco Bell Cantina chicken burrito?
What do you need that for?
Chicken doesn't have to be flavorless, I guess.
Here we go. It can be tender and slow roasted.
Slow roasted? That sounds lazy to me.
The holidays can be a tough time for the modern chicken eater.
A burrito on what could be Gam Gam's last holiday?
What'd she say?
But don't worry, there's hope for every family. Cantina chicken is winning hearts and mouths across the country. Because a future this delicious can't be ignored for long.
Put it down.
Forgive me, Gam Gam.
A new era of chicken is here to stay.
NBC's Wednesday primetime lineup comes into focus with Vision Express. Fast, fashionable, focused.
KUAM TV8, first on Guam.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort Guam.
Welcome back to a special edition of The Hub, tracking the first week of President-elect Trump. Voters are filled with mixed emotions following the election on Super Tuesday. Experts say one way to deal with those emotions is to break from social media. Regina Waldrop reports.
After the presidential election, some voters filled with pride and optimism.
No stress. Great day. It feels like freedom outside. The sky's not falling. Another day, another dollar.
For others who didn't get the outcome they wanted, it's a day of disappointment.
There's nothing to talk about. It is what it is.
I feel all right. Could be a little bit better.
I didn't sleep at all. Like, not a single hour.
This election had voters of both parties stressed out. According to the American Psychological Association, nearly 70% of Americans said the 2024 presidential election was a significant source of stress in their lives.
I mean, it's your country, and it's people you care about, so there's always a lot at stake.
Whether you're celebrating or feeling anxious, it's okay to put politics on pause and do some self-care, says Dr. Michael Zipra with Northwestern University.
Really, it's good to take a break from media and social media, because there's going to be a lot of content that is just going to stir people up.
And then shortly after the election, you have the holidays coming. And Dr. Zipra says one thing you can do is to make an agreement with family and friends to keep politics off the table.
I know it's not always easy, but often that's the best approach. And so you and your family may want to have some sort of agreement beforehand.
Some other ways to manage post-election stress: exercise, take a walk outside, talk to people who support you, get enough sleep. Don't consume lots of caffeine or alcohol, and take a break from social media.
I think self-care in a very general sense is very important.
The day after Trump was elected, birth control requests skyrocketed for a Chattanooga organization. A Step Ahead offers multiple forms of birth control free of charge to women in 3 states. Grayson Gordon has the story.
Here's the Facebook post saying birth control requests were up 287%. A Step Ahead offers 3 types of birth control options for women across 18 counties in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama.
We feel like there should never be a barrier to receiving birth control.
Depending on what state you live in, women as young as 13 are eligible in Georgia, 14 in Alabama. Tennessee is a little more complicated since the Families' Rights and Responsibilities Act was passed over the summer. In most cases, you do not have access as a minor, but there are exceptions.
Clinics are handling this different ways, but mostly, in order to receive services, you do have to have parental consent if you are under the age of 18.
Birth control options are used for pregnancy prevention, but there are also other cases where women use these for treatment.
A lot of people that we speak with utilize birth control as a form of health care for problems like PCOS, endometriosis, severe acne, really bad menstrual cycles that are causing them to have to miss work or school.
Since opening 10 years ago, A Step Ahead Chattanooga has provided this health service to roughly 9,000 women.
And just having this access is just so important for women to be able to thrive.
Supporters of President-elect Trump hope he'll make changes to improve the economy and keep more money in the pockets of Americans after he takes office. Charlie Keegan has more.
Over the sizzle of lunch at Hayes Hamburgers, Jan Lowry said she hopes to see more money in her pocket once President-elect Donald Trump takes office.
I just hope that, he's able to maybe set the economy back on some sort of trajectory that helps families and individuals, keep a little bit more of their own money.
The economy dominated our conversation at the restaurant. Jeff Seaver says he was better off under Trump's first term. He disagrees with President Joe Biden's approach on the economy and social issues.
And when you stick your hand in our pocket and morally go against the tide, this is what happens to you.
If you just decided on nothing but issues, we had that going for us.
Gary Smedley is a committee member for the Clay County Republican Party. He believes Trump will tighten the southern border and will lead with an American-first approach.
We're going to improve our national security posture. We're going to regain our status in the world as a world leader.
Smedley admits Trump didn't complete a wall or repeal Obamacare like he promised in his first term. But Smedley believes Trump's experience puts him in a better position to fulfill his platform, especially with Republicans gaining control of the U.S. Senate.
Now the Republicans have to deliver, and I see that I fully expect them that they will.
From gas prices to hamburgers, supporters hope Trump will save them money. Charlie Keegan, KSHB 41 News.
Keep it here. You're watching a special report tracking the first week of President-elect Trump. This is The Hub.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort, Guam.
Hey, I got the job. So I can go part-time. Yes!
Some days bring new opportunities. First Hawaiian Bank can help you say yes to making the most of them. Manage your accounts, earn cash back, and when you need advice, we're here for you.
We should really get him into an art program.
No matter where your journeys take you, you can bank on the best. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort, Guam.
Welcome back to The Hub. During a speech from the Rose Garden, President Joe Biden promised his staff would assist President-elect Trump's transition team, emphasizing a successful, free, and fair electoral process. Trump is now putting together his presidential cabinet. Bree Jackson is in Washington with details.
She gave her whole heart and effort.
President Biden addressing the nation for the first time since President-elect Trump's decisive victory over Vice President Harris.
We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree.
The president praising Harris for her historic run.
She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much, her character.
President Biden also pledging a peaceful transfer of power on January 20th as former President Trump prepares for his second administration.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
In a phone interview with NBC News, President-elect Trump was asked about his plans for mass deportations and potential cost associated with it. His response, "We have no choice when people have killed and murdered," and stated, "There is no price tag." Democrats are preparing for a political fight.
We're going to have to defend the Constitution and the democracy against chaos in the streets if they're really serious about trying to deport 12 million people and run over the Bill of Rights.
President-elect Trump will likely have some help trying to get his agenda through Congress. Republicans secured a Senate majority, but control of the House remains up in the air. And President-elect Trump is set to make history with one of his first cabinet picks for his new administration. Mr. Trump says Susie Wiles will be his next White House chief of staff. She will be the first woman in that role. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
2 New Yorkers and an Iranian man are charged in a thwarted plot to assassinate President-elect Trump. Jonathan Dist has more information on the attempt and those involved.
The Iranians wanted to target Donald Trump this fall as he was campaigning for the White House. That, according to a criminal complaint filed by the Justice Department here in New York. The operation apparently admitted to by one Iranian operative. That the alleged plan to try to kill Trump was discussed in September and again around the anniversary of the October 7th attacks in Israel. But the Fed say the plot was put on hold because the Iranian operatives did not have a credible plan to try to get at Trump. FBI Director Chris Wray issued a statement saying the case exposed Iran's continued brazen attempts to target U.S. citizens, including President-elect Trump, other government leaders and dissidents who criticize the regime in Tehran. Iran has previously been accused of trying to target Trump because in 2020, the Trump administration had Iran Quds Force leader Qasem Soleimani killed during a visit to Iraq. The U.S. had blamed Soleimani for killing Americans in terror attacks. Anti-Iran regime activist Masih Alinejad here in New York was also an alleged target. Alinejad speaks out for women's rights inside Iran. She issued a statement today on Twitter about being an alleged target at the hands of the Iranians.
They went in front of my house to kill me.
This would be the third alleged attempt by Iranian operatives to target her. Previously, a gunman showed up at her home, and suspects also plotted to try to kidnap her to try to bring her back to Iran. In this latest plot, the FBI had warned her not to attend a Fairfield University event given the threat.
It's shocking because the killers were planning to go at Fairfield University, waiting for me. The Islamic Republic nature to get rid of their opponents, to kill anyone who dared to challenge them, to criticize the Islamic ideology.
3 men charged: Farhad Shakari, who's believed to be out of reach in Iran. 2 other New York men, Carlisle Rivera of Brooklyn and Jonathan Lodeholt of Staten Island, arrested here yesterday. They apparently all knew one another from past time in a New York prison from a robbery case. Shakari was deported after his prison sentence.
Keep it here. You're watching a special report tracking the first week of President-elect Trump. This is The Hub.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort, Guam.
Something is calling, and I can't help it. That's not the wrong way. There ain't no song. Watch me as I go. This is my mood when I make a move. Watch me as I go. This is my mood when let's take a break. There's no use. This is my mood when I make a move. This is my mood when
This holiday season, let's spread joy to every child in Guam in the CNMI. Join the Marines and KUAM Care Force in supporting Toys for Tots. Your generous donation can make a world of difference. Donate now through December 6th at any of our convenient drop-off locations. We're collecting toys for babies, children, and teens. And in addition to these drop-off points, we invite you to join us for a special Giving Tuesday drive at Kmart on December 3rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Let's come together as a community to make a difference. Together, we can ensure that every child receives a special gift this Christmas. Thank you for being a Toy-tastic hero.
Every year, we come together, put our differences aside, join forces, and unite to create a wave of kindness and generosity throughout the community. The KUAM Care Force invites you to join us in embracing radical generosity this Giving Tuesday, December 3rd. Any act, however small or grand, helps. Let us know what you, your family, your school, or business is doing to participate in this global day of giving by tagging KUAM Care Force on Instagram or emailing careforce@kuam.com.
The Hub is brought to you by Docomo Pacific Business and Leo Palace Resort, Guam.
You're watching The Hub. With just over 2 months before Inauguration Day, President-elect Trump is filling out his cabinet, tapping Republican lawmaker and longtime ally Elise Stefanik to be U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Also, naming his former Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director to oversee border control and the president-elect's campaign promise of mass deportation of migrants. Alice Barr with more on the transition to a second Trump term.
More consequential appointments in a big week for the Trump transition team. The president-elect putting Tom Homan, his former acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, in charge of the nation's borders.
Every morning I get up. Every morning I'm pissed off about what this administration did to the most secure border in my lifetime. So I'm going to go back and do what I can to fix it.
President-elect Trump saying Homan will lead, quote, all deportation of illegal aliens back to their country of origin. Homan was a supporter of the controversial policy that separated migrant families during the first Trump term. Asked about that recently on CBS's 60 Minutes.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Democrats pushing back.
This is a guy with a cowboy attitude that constantly dehumanizes people who are simply seeking a better life in the United States.
Immigration hardliner and first Trump term veteran Stephen Miller also in line for Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, according to a source close to the transition. The president-elect tapping Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik for U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, the staunch defender of Israel, who's been outspoken about anti-Semitism on college campuses, will fill a key role at a pivotal time for the war in Gaza. Critics concerned that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's close relationship with President-elect Trump could embolden him into further escalation. President-elect Trump will meet with President Biden at the White House on Wednesday, with 2 months to go until he takes office. With the Senate now in Republican control, the three potential candidates for the leadership role are backing President-elect Trump's call for the Senate to allow recess appointments, meaning he could put cabinet officials in place without a confirmation process or a vote. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
President-elect Trump has been quickly naming his choices for several critical roles in his next administration. It comes as he returns to Washington to meet with President Biden. Garrett Hakey with his development.
With the expected selection of Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, Donald Trump's next administration is coming into clearer view this morning. The two were opponents in 2016 in a primary that turned personal.
Do you know that in Florida, they hate little Marco Rubio so much?
But Rubio later became a staunch ally.
We are patriots who love America.
And this morning, in another key role, CNN reporting that Trump has chosen South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to run the Department of Homeland Security, according to two people familiar with the selection. Noem, once on the short list to be Trump's running mate before suffering political fallout after revealing in a new book that she shot her own dog.
How are you guys?
Trump also naming Florida Congressman and former Green Beret Michael Waltz to be National Security Advisor, and outspoken ally New York's Elise Stefanik as UN Ambassador. All set to play a crucial role advising the president-elect on national security and the ongoing wars in Europe and the Middle East. Trump also naming former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin to lead the EPA.
The first 100 days, we have the opportunity to roll back regulations.
All of those picks, save Walz, must be confirmed by the Senate, unlike two Trump hires focused on immigration, Tom Homan and Stephen Miller. During Trump's first term, Miller helped engineer the highly controversial ban on travel from several Muslim-majority nations, while he and Homan also played influential roles with the hardline policy that led to the separation of thousands of migrant families at the border.
The criminal migrants will go home, and America will be reclaimed for Americans.
Meantime, the New York judge who presided over President-elect Trump's criminal hush money trial has pushed back his ruling on whether to set aside the incoming president's felony convictions. Lawyers for the president-elect want the case dismissed, while prosecutors say they need more time to evaluate the next steps now that the former president has been elected again. In a letter to the judge, the prosecutor agreed with the Trump team's request for a stay to consider the impact of the election. A week's delay has been granted by the court, and prosecutors must now state the position by November 19th. In May, Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts related to hush money payments made to porn star Stormy Daniels. The president-elect has denied any wrongdoing. Meantime, Trump picked South Dakota Republican Governor Kristi Noem to serve as his Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Noem is the latest in a flurry of names Trump has announced as choices for his second administration. As Homeland Security Secretary, she would oversee a number of key federal agencies, including U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and U.S. Customs and Border Protection. The governor has voiced support for the president-elect's hardline immigration policies and has defended her fellow Republican governors in their efforts to crack down on migrants in their states. Similar to Trump's other allies, she had also signaled support for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. That's it for this week's episode of The Hub. I'm Nick Delgado. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.